This underground Chinese tomb has just revealed a secret that shocked the scientific world. There have been archaeological discoveries that left the entire world astonished. Ancient skeletons have been found in places where no one ever expected them to appear. Mummies thousands of years old have remained so well preserved that it seems as though time itself never touched them. And there are also enormous structures buried deep beneath the earth, sparking decades of debate among scientists who still have not reached a final answer. What is truly remarkable is that the deeper we explore the past, the more we realize that human history may be far more complex and mysterious than what is written in textbooks. Do massive, unknown structures really exist beneath the ancient pyramids? Are the mysterious mummies scattered across the desert telling the story of a lost civilization that vanished long ago? Or do ancient caves still hide secrets that could completely change what we know about the origins of humanity? Hello everyone, and welcome back to Ancient History. In today's video, we're embarking on a journey to explore some of the most mysterious and controversial archaeological discoveries ever found around the world. From treasures buried for thousands of years, to strange mummies that challenge modern science, to ancient structures that seem far beyond the capabilities of the people who built them. Each discovery is like a missing piece of history, opening the door to new questions and driving researchers to continue searching for answers. And perhaps among the mysteries we are about to uncover, there is one discovery powerful enough to make us rethink the entire story of human civilization from a completely different perspective. So, are you ready to explore these mysteries with me? If so, let's begin with our very first discovery right now. The skeleton that guarded a treasure for 1,000 years inside a Chinese princess's tomb. Imagine this. Archaeologists open the sealed entrance to a royal tomb that has remained untouched for more than 1,000 years. Amid the priceless treasures hidden inside, they unexpectedly discover the skeleton of a man sitting silently, as if he had been guarding those riches all this time. Who would you think he was? A loyal servant buried alongside his master? A royal guard carrying out his final duty? Or perhaps a mysterious figure long forgotten by history? If you can't think of an answer, then join me as we explore the mysterious tomb of a princess from ancient China to uncover the truth. The story begins in China, inside the tomb of Princess Yongtai, a famous member of the Tang Dynasty royal family. She was born in 685 and died in 701 at the young age of just 17. Princess Yongtai was also the granddaughter of Wu Zetian, the only female emperor in the history of imperial China. Given her noble status, her tomb was built with extraordinary luxury and grandeur. In fact, many experts believe its level of magnificence rivaled that of the emperor's tombs of the same era. In ancient Chinese culture, funerals for nobles and royalty were elaborate affairs. The higher a person's social status, the greater the number of burial goods placed in the tomb. People believed these items would continue serving their owners in the afterlife. As a result, royal tombs often contained vast quantities of gold, silver, precious jewels, fine ceramics, and other highly valuable artifacts. For that very reason, ancient tombs became attractive targets for grave robbers throughout thousands of years of history. To them, one successful raid could provide enough wealth to live comfortably for the rest of their lives. But grave robbing was also a dangerous gamble. No one knew whether they would find treasure or meet death in the cold darkness beneath the earth. When archaeologists excavated Princess Yongtai's tomb, they encountered a truly strange sight. Inside the ancient burial chamber lay the skeleton of a man. His clothing had almost completely decayed over time. Scattered around his remains were pieces of gold and silver jewelry. Nearby were several axes that had become heavily rusted. However, what caught the experts' attention most was a clearly visible hole in the man's skull. This detail suggested that he had not died from illness or old age. Instead, his death was likely the result of a violent attack. The discovery immediately raised a series of questions among archaeologists. Who was this man? Why was he inside the tomb of a Tang Dynasty princess? And what had happened to him within the tomb over 1,000 years ago? After extensive research, archaeologists finally arrived at a surprising answer. The man was not an official, not a royal guard, and not a relative of the princess. He was, in fact, a grave robber. Based on the artifacts and associated dating evidence, experts determined that he lived during the period between the 5 dynasties and the Song dynasty, several centuries after Princess Yongtai had been buried. It appears that he and his accomplices broke into the tomb with the intention of stealing its treasures, but their plan for quick riches ended in a way no one expected. Researchers believe that after discovering the gold, silver, and jewels, the robbers likely began arguing over how to divide the loot. During the conflict, the man was struck in the head and killed inside the tomb. After his death, the surviving accomplices may have fled or been unable to remove his body. As a result, his skeleton was left behind among the very treasures he had risked his life to obtain. For more than 1,000 years, he remained there in the darkness, an unwilling guardian of riches he never had the chance to possess, until archaeologists finally discovered him. This story is not only a fascinating archaeological discovery, but also a powerful reflection on human greed. People who were once partners, working together in search of wealth, ultimately became enemies because of a handful of jewels. Ambition can sometimes act like a mirror, reflecting the darkest side of human nature, a place where greed can erase loyalty, friendship, and reason. And perhaps that is why, even after more than 1,000 years, the mysterious skeleton in Princess Yongtai's tomb continues to tell future generations a haunting story about treasure, greed, and the price people pay when desire becomes their guide. What do you think? Do you agree with this interpretation, or do you have a different perspective? If so, leave a comment below and let's discuss it together. The 400-year-old time-traveling ship preserved intact beneath the water. A true ghost ship, preserved almost completely intact for 400 years, has been excavated from beneath the Trave estuary in northern Germany, leaving scientists astonished by a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon that kept it looking as though it had only recently left port. This ship is far more than just an ancient artifact. It is a remarkable testament to the golden age of northern European trade, the Hanseatic era, when powerful merchant leagues dominated the Baltic Sea region from the 13th through the 17th centuries. The discovery began during a routine sonar survey in 2020, when archaeologists detected a mysterious structure buried deep beneath a thick layer of mud at a depth of approximately 36 feet, just outside the mouth of the Trave River where saltwater meets the Baltic Sea. Since then, researchers have conducted 13 separate dives to excavate, examine, and preserve the wreck. The most unusual and rare aspect of the discovery is the way the ship sank. It was not overturned or severely damaged. Instead, it remained upright in the sediment, as though it were still sailing across the surface of the water. This eerie and exceptionally rare sight has sparked numerous theories about how the vessel managed to remain so well preserved for 4 centuries. The most widely accepted explanation involves an extremely rare natural phenomenon. Shortly after sinking, the ship became rapidly covered by a thick layer of fine riverbed mud. This mud acted like protective armor, shielding the vessel from wood-eating microorganisms and other destructive environmental forces. As a result, despite spending hundreds of years submerged in salt water and exposed to harsh conditions, the ship's structure survived in an extraordinarily intact state. It is truly a natural miracle, one that scientists have described as an invaluable time capsule, allowing them to observe the details and construction of an ancient cargo ship with a level of clarity never seen before. The vessel measures approximately 65 to 82 feet in length, was equipped with a mast, and served as a cargo ship from the late Hanseatic period. Most remarkably, archaeologists discovered that barrels of lime, a common building material of the era, were still on board. This suggests that the ship's final voyage was connected to the construction industry, helping researchers recreate a vivid picture of economic life and maritime trade in the Baltic region hundreds of years ago. This discovery not only sheds light on historical mysteries long buried by time, but also provides a rare opportunity for researchers to gain deeper insights into ancient shipbuilding techniques, trade routes, and even the daily lives of the people who lived during that era. More than just an ordinary shipwreck, this vessel is a living time machine, connecting the past to the present. It allows us to directly experience, study, and even imagine the stories that once unfolded across these waters more than 4 centuries ago. From beneath the fine layers of mud at the bottom of the Trave River, this ghost ship delivers a remarkable message. The past is never truly gone. It remains hidden somewhere, waiting for humanity to uncover it and tell its story once again. What other treasures or mysteries might still lie hidden beneath the vast oceans of the world? The journey of discovery is far from over, and it will undoubtedly continue to bring us extraordinary stories. Stories every bit as fascinating as pirate legends and lost treasures. But this time, the tale is about a real-life, time-traveling ship, preserved across the centuries and revealed in our own modern world. 230-million-year-old dinosaur fossil discovered for the first time in Zimbabwe. If you could take a journey back in time, which era would you choose to visit? Some people would pick ancient Egypt, while others might be curious about the Roman Empire. But if you're a fan of the dinosaur world, you might want to stop around 230 million years ago. Because at that moment in Earth's history, a small yet fascinating creature roamed across the land that is now modern-day Zimbabwe. And recently, scientists successfully excavated its nearly complete fossil skeleton. This dinosaur had a rather unusual name, Embarking rothii. The name combines Mbire district, the location where the fossil was discovered, and Michael Rath, the paleontologist who first reported prehistoric fossil sites in the region. But don't let the long name overwhelm you, because the most interesting part is the animal itself. Embarking rothii stood about 3.3 feet tall and weighed approximately 66 pounds, making it roughly comparable in size to a large modern dog. But don't underestimate it. This dinosaur had a slender body, a long tail, and moved quickly on two legs. Most notably, it had a small head with a flexible beak-like mouth, suggesting that it was capable of eating both meat and plants. Insects, young leaves, and tender branches were all likely part of its diet. Few food sources would have challenged this adaptable omnivore. Its diverse diet indicates that it possessed remarkable survival abilities, allowing it to thrive in the harsh climates and environments of the late Triassic period. In fact, Christopher Griffin, the lead author of the study and a researcher at Yale University, described the discovery as a major milestone in paleontology, and that description is far from an exaggeration. Fossils dating back 230 million years are extremely rare, especially in Africa. Before this discovery, fossils from the same period had only been found sporadically in South America and India. This opens the door to a fascinating possibility. Could today's continents once have been connected as a single massive landmass known as Pangaea? The discovery of Embarking rothii in Zimbabwe serves as an important piece of evidence supporting that hypothesis. The dinosaur shares several clear similarities with ancient dinosaur species discovered in Brazil and Argentina. This suggests that early dinosaurs were not confined to a single geographic region. Instead, they may have roamed freely across a world that had not yet been divided into separate continents. Furthermore, the fossil of Embarking rothii helps fill a significant gap in the paleontological record, where evidence of some of the earliest dinosaurs has long been scarce. It is like the final missing puzzle piece that helps complete our picture of the beginning of the age of dinosaurs, the period when these remarkable creatures gradually began to dominate the Earth. And if you're someone who loves exploration and enjoys uncovering ancient mysteries, there's even more good news. The nearly complete skeleton of Embarking rothii is currently on display at the Zimbabwe Museum of Natural History in Bulawayo. It is a place that not only preserves fossils, but also safeguards the story of millions of years of life's evolution on Earth. If you ever have the opportunity, it may be well worth a visit to see this extraordinary discovery for yourself. Olduvai Gorge, the place where the first traces of humanity were found. Have you ever wondered where humans truly began? Before we built massive cities, before we invented the wheel, and before we ventured into space, what were our distant ancestors like? How did they live? And what if there were a place on Earth that preserved the very first chapters of humanity's story? It sounds almost impossible to imagine, doesn't it? Yet such a place really does exist. It is not hidden beneath the pyramids of Egypt, nor is it buried beneath the ruins of some famous ancient city. Instead, it lies amid the wild plains of Africa, where ancient fossils have quietly told a story spanning millions of years. That place is Olduvai Gorge, a site many scientists refer to as the cradle of humankind. Olduvai Gorge is located in northern Tanzania, a country in East Africa. It lies within the famous Ngorongoro Conservation Area and is approximately 93 miles from the city of Arusha. The gorge stretches for about 30 miles across the vast Serengeti Plains. At first glance, it appears to be little more than a dry ravine carved through a remote wilderness. but hidden beneath its ancient sediment layers lies an invaluable treasure trove of evidence about human evolution. Scientists believe that millions of years ago, volcanic activity in the region accidentally created a perfect natural archive. Layers of volcanic ash and sediment preserved fossilized bones, footprints, and tools left behind by our ancestors over countless generations. This unique combination of circumstances transformed Olduvai into one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. There is a fascinating story often shared among anthropologists that illustrates this significance. In 1910, German scientist Wilhelm Kattwinkel traveled to East Africa on an expedition to study African sleeping sickness. According to a famous tale, while chasing a beautiful butterfly near the rim of the Ngorongoro crater, he slipped and fell into a gorge. When he regained consciousness, he supposedly found himself surrounded by fossilized bones and ancient stone tools. While this story is probably more legend than fact, it is true that during 1910 and 1911, Kattwinkel recognized the tremendous archaeological potential of the area and introduced it to the scientific community. Interestingly, the name Olduvai itself originated from a misunderstanding. The local Maasai people referred to a common plant in the area as Oldupai. When researchers recorded the name, it was accidentally changed to Olduvai, and that version has remained in use ever since. However, it was not until the mid-20th century that Olduvai truly became the center of global scientific attention. Two renowned British anthropologists, Louis Leakey and Mary Leakey, devoted years of research to the site. Then, on July 17, 1959, a historic breakthrough occurred. On that day, Louis Leakey was ill and remained at the research camp. Mary Leakey went alone to the excavation site as she normally did. While surveying the area, she discovered an unusual fragment of jawbone containing two remarkably well-preserved teeth. It did not resemble a modern human, yet it was also unlike any known ape species. Over the following days, scientists continued excavating and assembling additional fossil fragments. Eventually, they reconstructed a nearly complete skull that became known by the nickname Nutcracker Man. Initially, the fossil was classified as Zinjanthropus. However, after further research, it was identified as Paranthropus boisei, an ancient hominin species that lived approximately 1.75 million years ago. The discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific world, but even more astonishing findings were still to come. In 1960, the Leakey family uncovered another remarkable fossil at Olduvai. This specimen belonged to Homo habilis, often referred to as the handyman. This ancient human species is considered one of the earliest representatives of the genus Homo, the evolutionary group that eventually led directly to modern humans. The discovery of Homo habilis completely transformed our understanding of human history. Subsequent research revealed that Homo habilis lived between approximately 2.31 million and 1.65 million years ago. They were capable of making stone tools and displayed evolutionary characteristics more advanced than those of the earlier Australopithecus species. Following the discoveries at Olduvai, numerous additional excavations were carried out throughout Tanzania and across East Africa. New evidence continued to emerge, gradually piecing together a more complete picture of humanity's origins. As a result, the theory that humans originated in Africa began to take shape and gained increasing scientific support. Today, with the assistance of modern genetic research, the out-of-Africa theory has become the most widely accepted explanation among scientists. Researchers believe that descendants of Homo habilis and other early Homo species eventually migrated out of Africa, spread across the continents, and ultimately gave rise to the human populations that exist today. One particularly important fact is that before the discoveries at Olduvai, many scientists believed human history extended back only about 600,000 years. The fossils discovered in Tanzania demonstrated that our lineage is far older than previously imagined, stretching back millions of years. Today, Olduvai Gorge is home to a museum dedicated to anthropology and human evolution, preserving many priceless artifacts from these groundbreaking discoveries. Nearby stands a monument featuring two giant fossil skull replicas, commemorating the discoveries that fundamentally changed our understanding of where humanity came from. And perhaps the most fascinating thing about Olduvai is not merely the fossilized skeletons or ancient stone tools found there. Rather, it is the fact that this extraordinary place allowed humanity to see, more clearly than ever before, its own evolutionary journey stretching across millions of years. What do you think? Do you agree that Olduvai Gorge is one of the most important places in the story of human origins, or do you have a different perspective? If so, feel free to leave a comment below and share your thoughts so everyone can join the discussion. 40,000-year-old foal mummy found perfectly preserved in Siberia's Gateway to Hell. This remarkable location is the Bodagaika crater, situated in the Yakutia region of Siberia, Russia. Viewed from above, Bodagaika looks like a gigantic scar tearing through the Earth's surface. The depression is approximately 0.6 miles long, nearly 2,625 feet wide, and continues to expand over time. Because of its enormous size and terrifying appearance, local residents have nicknamed it the Gateway to Hell. For scientists, however, Bodagaika is more like a giant time machine. Each time the permafrost melts, secrets buried tens of thousands of years ago gradually emerge into the light. Over the years, the site has yielded countless valuable fossils from prehistoric animals, including mammoths, ancient reindeer, deer, moose, and many plant species that disappeared from Earth long ago. But among all of these extraordinary discoveries, perhaps none has been as astonishing as the fossil of an ancient foal found in August 2018. At that time, an expedition team composed of paleontologists from Russia and Japan was conducting research at the Bodagaika crater. While excavating approximately 98 feet beneath the permafrost, they uncovered the nearly complete body of an animal. As the frozen soil was carefully removed, the scientists were amazed by what appeared before them. It was the body of a foal that had died roughly 40,000 years ago. What stunned the scientific community was not merely the specimen's age, but the extraordinary state of preservation. After tens of thousands of years, buried beneath the frozen ground of Siberia, the foal's body retained an astonishingly intact appearance. Its dark brown coat remained clearly visible. Its mane and tail had suffered almost no damage. Even many of its internal organs were still preserved. Such a level of preservation is extremely rare for an animal that has remained underground for tens of millennia. Through their research, experts determined that the animal belonged to an ancient horse species that became extinct long ago. At the time of its death, the foal was only about 3 months old and stood approximately 37 inches tall. In other words, it was still a young animal in the early stages of development. This quickly raised an important question: what caused such a young foal to die? Scientists carefully examined the entire body but found no signs of severe trauma. There were no predator bite marks, no broken bones, and no evidence of major external injuries. Based on the available evidence, researchers proposed several possible explanations. One possibility is that the foal accidentally fell into a natural trap and was unable to escape. Another theory suggests that it may have been swept away by water during a melting event or drowned in an ancient marsh environment. Although the exact cause of death has not yet been fully determined, scientists agree that the animal's body was rapidly buried and frozen almost immediately after death, preventing the normal process of decomposition. Siberia's permafrost essentially functioned as a giant freezer, preserving the foal for 40,000 years. The eerie faces beneath the waters of Thailand, the mystery that gives divers chills. Imagine this for a moment. One day, you're diving deep beneath the crystal-clear waters of the ocean. All around you, colorful schools of fish glide gracefully among beautiful coral reefs. Then, as your dive light accidentally sweeps across a dark corner of the seafloor, you suddenly come face to face with a giant human face staring back at you from the shadows. Farther away, dozens of other faces emerge from the darkness, their expressions cold, motionless, and haunting. How would you feel in that moment? Personally, I think almost anyone would assume they had just discovered the remains of a mysterious civilization that disappeared beneath the ocean thousands of years ago. But here's the fascinating part. The truth behind these strange faces is even more remarkable. The story begins on Koh Tao, a small island located in the tropical waters of Thailand. For many years, Koh Tao has been famous worldwide for its stunning beaches, crystal-clear waters, and incredibly rich marine ecosystem. Every year, hundreds of thousands of visitors travel from around the globe to dive and explore the beauty hidden beneath the ocean's surface. Yet beneath this paradise-like setting lies a sight that leaves many first-time divers stunned with surprise. While exploring certain areas around the island, divers suddenly encounter giant human faces placed among the coral reefs. Some faces remain clearly visible, with deep, hollow-looking eyes. Others appear to be slowly disappearing beneath layers of coral and marine life that have accumulated over time. Beneath the deep blue water, the scene is both strangely beautiful and undeniably unsettling. At first, many people believe these structures might be remnants of an ancient civilization that once existed somewhere in Southeast Asia. Some stories even claim that the faces were connected to mysterious legends of the sea. However, after further investigation, researchers revealed a completely different truth. These mysterious faces are not ancient at all. They are modern sculptures created by local artists in Thailand. Their purpose was never simply decoration or tourism. Instead, they were designed as part of a unique marine ecosystem restoration project. The project began after an unfortunate incident in the waters surrounding Koh Tao. A sunken fishing vessel caused significant damage to several coral reefs in the area. Coral reefs, often referred to as the lungs of the ocean and home to countless marine species, suffered severe impacts as a result. In response, environmental conservationists and local artists joined forces to create underwater sculptures that could help support ecological recovery. The statues and faces were placed on the seafloor to provide a foundation for new coral growth, while also creating habitats that would attract fish and other marine creatures back to the area. Among all these artworks, the most striking is the face of a drowned man. This particular sculpture is also the one that many divers find the most haunting when they first encounter it. Under the dim and filtered light of the ocean, the face appears almost like a silent witness, telling the story of the damage humanity has inflicted upon nature. But if you look deeper, these sculptures were never intended to frighten anyone. On the contrary, they carry a profoundly meaningful message. The artist wanted to remind people that the ocean is a living system that deserves protection and care. Just like human beings, coral reefs can be injured, weakened, and even disappear if they are not properly protected. Each face beneath the sea has therefore become a symbol of the connection between humanity and nature. They remind us that every human action leaves an impact on the environment. An 8,000-year-old shipyard beneath the seafloor, shocking evidence of a prehistoric civilization. Hidden deep beneath the cold seafloor, an ancient wooden structure is revealing an astonishing story about skilled craftspeople who lived thousands of years before us. Even more remarkable, it remained undisturbed beneath the sea for 8 millennia before being discovered. The story began in mid-August 2025, when archaeologists from the Maritime Archaeological Trust announced an extraordinary discovery on the seabed near the town of Yarmouth on England's Isle of Wight. At a depth of approximately 36 feet beneath the water's surface, they uncovered what is believed to be the oldest known shipyard ever discovered in the world. At first glance, the find appeared relatively simple. It consisted of a section of wooden flooring made up of roughly 60 to 70 large and small timber pieces stacked in multiple layers. However, as researchers conducted a more detailed examination, they quickly realized that this was not a natural formation. Every piece showed clear signs of human workmanship. To determine its age, specialists used radiocarbon dating along with tree ring analysis. The results stunned the archaeological community. The timbers were found to be around 8,000 years old, dating back to the Middle Stone Age, long before the emergence of the world's first major civilizations. Interestingly, clues pointing to this discovery had existed for years. As early as the 1990s, local fishermen working off the coast of the Isle of Wight repeatedly pulled ancient wooden planks and unusually shaped hard stones from the seafloor. Some of these artifacts resembled prehistoric tools. These scattered discoveries led archaeologists to suspect that the area may once have been inhabited or used by humans thousands of years ago. However, it took decades of surveys using advanced technology and large-scale underwater expeditions before researchers could confirm that the site was indeed the remains of an ancient shipbuilding workshop. What astonished experts the most was the technical skill demonstrated by these prehistoric craftspeople. Upon close examination, the wooden pieces showed no signs of crude workmanship. On the contrary, each timber had been carefully cut, shaped, and fitted together with remarkable precision. The surviving evidence suggests that these ancient people possessed an advanced understanding of woodworking. They knew how to select suitable materials and process timber for constructing watercraft. Think about that for a moment. At that time, humans had no knowledge of metalworking. They had no power saws, steel chisels, or any modern tools. Yet they managed to create wooden structures of such high quality that they continue to surprise scientists today. What does that tell us? Before this discovery was announced, many researchers believed that woodworking techniques of this sophistication did not appear until after the Neolithic period, around 4500 BC. However, the remains found beneath the waters off the Isle of Wight suggest that humans may have mastered these skills much earlier than previously thought. In fact, archaeology has uncovered several extremely ancient boats in the past. One example is a vessel approximately 10,000 years old discovered in the Netherlands. However, evidence of where such boats were actually built has been exceedingly rare. That is why the shipyard remains found on the Isle of Wight are so significant. This discovery is not merely evidence of a single boat. It points to the existence of an entire production site where prehistoric craftspeople may have worked, built vessels, and possibly repaired watercraft used for travel along rivers and coastal waters. Scientists have also noted that when this structure was built, the Isle of Wight was not yet an isolated island as it is today. At that time, the area was part of a broad valley connected to mainland Britain. Rivers and surrounding waterways created ideal conditions for transportation, trade, and resource gathering. This means that prehistoric people may have relied on boats far more frequently than we once believed. They may not have been merely simple hunter-gatherer groups. The secret tunnel beneath a Mayan pyramid, a gateway to a lost sacrificial ritual? The story begins at the archaeological site of Chichen Itza, located on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. It was one of the most important centers of the ancient Maya civilization and is home to the famous Pyramid of Kukulkan. According to historical records, Spanish explorers during the conquest of the Americas documented the existence of this massive structure in the early 16th century. Since then, Kukulkan has become the subject of study for generations of archaeologists around the world. Although it has been researched for decades, the pyramid continues to reveal surprising new discoveries. One of the most remarkable findings recently announced by archaeologists is the existence of a secret tunnel hidden deep within the structure. According to experts, the tunnel is believed to lead to a special underground water-filled cave known as a cenote. To the ancient Maya, a cenote was far more than a source of fresh water. It was considered a gateway connecting the human world to the realm of the gods. Numerous archaeological discoveries have previously shown that the Maya conducted sacrificial ceremonies at these sacred sinkholes. What makes this discovery even more fascinating is that, for many years, archaeologists only knew about the existence of an underground cenote beneath the Kukulkan complex through geological evidence. However, they had never found a direct route leading to it. As a result, the discovery of this secret tunnel has opened new possibilities for answering long-standing questions about Maya religion and spiritual life. To carry out the research, specialists from the Great Mayan Aquifer Project, led by archaeologist Guillermo de Anda, used modern ground-penetrating radar technology. The system sends electromagnetic signals through the thick layers of stone inside the pyramid and records the reflected signals to create detailed maps of the structures hidden below. After analyzing the data, scientists discovered a concealed passage running through a smaller structure known as the ossuary. Although the tunnel was sealed off long ago, radar images suggest that it once served as an important connection within the entire network beneath the pyramid. Isn't that incredible? A structure built more than 1,000 years ago still contains spaces that no modern human has ever entered. It shows just how little we still understand about what the Maya created. According to archaeological studies, the Pyramid of Kukulkan was constructed sometime between AD 900 and AD 1100. It served as the central monument of Chichen Itza and was named after Kukulkan, the famous feathered serpent deity of Maya mythology. According to ancient legends, Kukulkan was a gigantic divine being that lived within caves, and the appearance of this god was often associated with earthquakes and other extraordinary natural phenomena. What is particularly noteworthy is that before the discovery of the secret tunnel, scientists uncovered a massive sinkhole directly beneath the pyramid in 2015. This revelation raised concerns among many experts because a large underground river exists below the sinkhole. If the geological structure changes over time, The water could potentially affect the pyramid's foundation and create a risk of instability for the entire monument. Surveys revealed that the sinkhole beneath Kukulkan measures approximately 82 to 115 feet in diameter and reaches depths of up to 66 feet. Furthermore, this underground water-filled cavern is believed to be connected to several other sinkholes located north, west, and east of the pyramid, forming a complex geological network beneath Chichen Itza. It is this mysterious underground network that has captured the attention of researchers. If the tunnel truly leads to the sacred cenote, it could provide valuable insight into how the Maya organized religious ceremonies, conducted sacrificial rituals, and integrated their architecture with their spiritual beliefs. Isn't that fascinating? The mysterious 20-foot skeleton washed ashore in Russia leaves scientists baffled. It was a cold morning on a remote coastline in Russia. The waves rolled steadily onto the shore, and strong ocean winds carried a biting chill through the air. Everything seemed perfectly ordinary. Then, amid this seemingly normal scene, a group of soldiers suddenly spotted a massive object exposed on the beach. As they approached, they were stunned. What lay before them was not the carcass of a familiar whale or any ordinary marine animal. Instead, it was the skeleton of a bizarre creature unlike anything they had ever seen. Measuring nearly 20 feet in length, it possessed terrifyingly sharp teeth, and most strangely of all, parts of its body appeared to still be covered with a layer of hair or fur. The sight immediately brought to mind the prehistoric monsters that once ruled the earth millions of years ago. This shocking discovery occurred in early December 2023 in the Sakhalin region, a large island located in eastern Russia along the Pacific Ocean. While carrying out a coastal patrol, soldiers accidentally came across the strange skeleton lying on the sand. Within a short time, images of the mysterious creature spread across news outlets and social media, attracting the attention of both scientists and people fascinated by unexplained mysteries. What amazed people was not only the skeleton's enormous size, but also its highly unusual appearance. At roughly 20 feet long, with an elongated skull and razor-sharp teeth, the creature looked more like something from a science fiction movie than a real animal. Many people who saw the first photographs immediately speculated that it might be the remains of a prehistoric sea monster returned to the surface after thousands of years resting on the ocean floor. Other theories even linked the discovery to legends of mysterious creatures that are said to inhabit unexplored regions of the deep sea. Scientists, however, tend to approach such claims with greater caution. As soon as they received reports of the discovery, experts began conducting a preliminary analysis of the skeleton structure to determine the creature's true identity. Initially, some researchers suggested that it might be the remains of a large beluga whale. Belugas are well-known whales that inhabit cold Arctic waters and are commonly found near the Sakhalin region. However, after examining the bones and teeth more closely, specialists noticed several characteristics that did not fully match the anatomy of a beluga whale. What surprised them most was that the skeleton appeared to share certain features more commonly associated with land animals than marine creatures. That detail alone raised a whole new series of questions. If it was not a whale, then what was it? Could it be an extremely rare deformity of a known species? Or perhaps the remains of a creature never before documented by science? Isn't that fascinating? We live in an age of satellites, submarines, and artificial intelligence. Yet the ocean still holds countless secrets that humanity has not fully uncovered. In fact, more than 80% of the world's ocean floor remains unexplored in detail. That means surprising discoveries like this could happen at any time. Scientists also point out that this is far from the first time strange creatures have appeared on beaches around the world. Back in 2013, for example, local fishermen in Villaricos, a coastal town in Spain, discovered the remains of a creature with an extremely unusual appearance. The incident attracted large crowds of curious onlookers. Because authorities were concerned about potential public health risks and the creature's origin could not be determined, local officials decided to bury the carcass as a precaution. Even today, however, its true identity has never been completely established. As you can see, the ancient world is full of fascinating mysteries, isn't it? Which of the discoveries we covered today impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to give ancient history a like and subscribe so you won't miss any future discoveries and mysteries. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.